The space station called Harmony's Edge floated in the darkness between stars. It was a place where many different alien species came to trade, talk, and sometimes argue. Thousands of creatures walked its metal corridors every day. Some had scales, some had fur, some had things that humans could not even name, but they all came here because it was neutral ground. No wars, no fighting, just business. Lieutenant Park stood at the observation window and watched a ship approach. It was large and built like a weapon. The design was unmistakable. She had read about them in her training files. They were wolf-like creatures from an ice world called. They stood over 2 meters tall, covered in silver fur, with amber eyes that seemed to look right through you. They were known across the galaxy as some of the most dangerous predators alive. Entire armies had fallen to war packs. They respected only strength, and somehow had been assigned to be their guide. She was not sure if this was an honor or a punishment. The door behind her opened, and her commanding officer walked in. Commander Lee was a tall man with hair and tired eyes. He had been running this station for 15 years, and it showed on his face. "The delegation will dock in 20 minutes, he said. "You remember your assignment?" "Yes, sir, cultural liaison. I help them navigate the station, answer their questions, and make sure nothing goes wrong." "Good," he paused, "and try not to get eaten." She was not sure if he was joking. The docking bay was cold. Stood with her hands behind her back, wearing her formal uniform. Other station officers stood nearby, but they kept their distance from the airlock. Nobody wanted to be too close when they came through. The door hissed open. The first thing noticed was the smell. It was wild, like forests and snow and something ancient. Then they stepped through, and she understood why people feared them. They were massive. The smallest one was twice her size. Their fur was thick and silver, their claws black and sharp. They moved like hunters, every step silent and precise. Their amber eyes scanned the room, marking exits, counting threats. At the front walked their leader. He was the largest of them all, with scars crossing his face and chest. His left ear was torn. His right eye had a long mark running through it. This was a creature who had fought many battles and won them all. "Pack leader." He stopped in front of and looked down at her. Way down, she barely reached his chest. "This is our guide." His voice was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. "The humans send us a small female." The other made sounds that might have been laughter. Kept her face calm. "I am Lieutenant Park. Welcome to Harmony's Edge. I will be assisting your delegation during your stay." Leaned closer. His breath was hot on her face. "On my world, creatures your size are food." "I am not on your world," said quietly, "and I am not food." For a moment, nobody moved. Then made a sound deep in his throat. It might have been amusement. "We shall see, little prey, we shall see." The moved past her and let out a breath she did not know she was holding. Then she saw them. Cubs. 5 small, barely up to her waist, followed behind the adults. They had fluffy fur and big curious eyes. They looked at everything with wonder, sniffing the air, touching the walls. One of them stopped in front of and tilted its head. "You are strange," it said. Its voice was high and young. "Why do you have no fur?" An adult female grabbed the cub and pulled it back. "Do not speak to the human." But smiled. "It is okay. I do not have fur because my species comes from a warm world. We do not need it." The cub stared at her with big amber eyes. He was smaller than the others, and he seemed shy. But there was curiosity in his face. "Does it not hurt?" he asked, being so soft. "Sometimes," admitted, "but we manage." The female pulled away, but the cub kept looking back at as they walked. She noticed that all 5 cubs were watching her now. They had probably never seen a human before. Over the next few days, learned many things about them. She learned that they were here because their species was dying. A genetic plague had spread through their population, making it harder for them to have children. The 5 cubs with this pack were precious beyond measure. There had been no new births in 2 years. She learned that they needed to pass through human-controlled space to reach a medical facility that might have a cure. The negotiations were delicate. The Inhumans had never been friends. She learned that thought very little of humans. "Your kind builds with metal and hides behind walls," he said during one of their meetings. "You have no claws, no fangs, no fur. How did you survive on your world?" "We worked together," said. "We used tools, we adapted." Prey behavior, dismissed her with a wave of his massive paw. "You survived because nothing on your world was strong enough to hunt you properly." Did not argue. She had learned that arguing with was like arguing with a mountain, pointless. But she noticed things. She noticed how watched the cubs when he thought no one was looking. His hard eyes would soften. His face would relax. He loved them deeply, even if he would never say it. She noticed how the cubs were drawn to her. Despite the adults' warnings, they kept finding ways to be near her. Bora, the boldest one, would ask her questions about humans. The shy one would simply sit nearby and watch her with those big eyes. She noticed that they were scared. They hid it well behind their growls and their pride, but had spent years studying alien behavior. She could see the fear underneath. They were far from home, surrounded by species they did not trust, carrying their most precious cargo. The cubs were everything to them, the future of their people. On the 5th day, something changed. Was in the security office, reviewing her reports, when she noticed something strange. A merchant ship had docked that morning. The registration said it was carrying medical supplies, but when watched the crew on the security cameras, something felt wrong. They moved too carefully. They watched too closely. Their hands stayed near their sides where weapons would be. These were not merchants. She reported her concerns to Commander Lee. "You are being paranoid," he said. "We scanned their ship, nothing unusual." "Sir, their movement patterns suggest military or criminal training. The way they watch the corridors, the way they position themselves. These are not traders." "Lieutenant, I do not have time for your feelings. We have a delegation to manage. Unless you have solid proof, drop it." Left his office with a heavy feeling in her chest. That night she could not sleep. She walked the corridors of the station thinking. The cubs' faces kept appearing in her mind. Shy curiosity, Bora's bold questions. Something was wrong, she could feel it. Near the cargo bay, she saw 2 of the merchant crew talking in low voices. She pressed herself against a wall and listened. "The cubs are in Section 7, 5 of them. The buyer is paying triple for live ones. Tomorrow night, during the power fluctuation." His blood went cold. They were here for the cubs. She turned to run, to warn someone, but a hand grabbed her shoulder. She spun around. One of the merchants stood behind her. He smiled, and there was no warmth in it. "You should not have heard that, little girl." Before could react, something hit the back of her head. The world went dark. Woke up in a storage closet. Her head was pounding. There was dried blood in her hair. Her hands were tied behind her back with plastic strips. She did not know how much time had passed. She forced herself to think. The pirates knew she had heard their plan. They could have killed her, but they did not. That meant they wanted her alive for now. Maybe they thought she might be useful. Maybe they just did not want to cause trouble before their real mission. The cubs, she had to warn someone about the cubs. Looked around the small room. Cleaning supplies, boxes, a vent in the ceiling. The plastic strips on her wrists were tight but not tight enough. She had small hands. Her father had been a fisherman on Earth. When she was young, he taught her how to escape from tangled nets. "Small and flexible," he always said. "Sometimes being small is a gift." It took her 20 minutes, but she pulled her hands free. The skin on her wrists was torn and bleeding, but she did not care. She climbed up the boxes and opened the vent. It was a tight fit, but she managed to squeeze inside. She crawled through the station's ventilation system in the dark. She had memorized the layout during her first week here. Left, right, straight, down. Every turn was clear in her mind. When she finally dropped out of a vent near the medical bay, 2 hours had passed since she was attacked. Dr. Han nearly screamed when stumbled into her office, covered in dust and blood. "What happened to you?" "No time," grabbed her friend's arm. "The merchant ship, they are pirates. They are here for the cubs. They are going to take them tomorrow night." His face went pale. "Are you sure?" "I heard them myself. That is why they attacked me." "We need to tell security. Commander Lee needs to know." Shook her head. "He did not believe me before. He will not believe me now. He will say I hit my head and imagined things." "Then what do we do?" Thought for a moment. "I need to warn the directly." Getting to the quarters was not easy. Had to avoid security cameras and the merchant crew. She moved through maintenance tunnels and back corridors, places where few people ever went. When she finally reached the section, 2 guards blocked the door. They were massive, even with weapons strapped to their backs. "Stop," one growled. "No humans allowed." "I need to see pack leader. It is urgent." "The Alpha is resting. Come back tomorrow." "There will not be a tomorrow if you do not let me through," stepped forward. "Your cubs are in danger. Pirates are on this station. They plan to take the children." The guards looked at each other. Their amber eyes showed doubt. "Please," said, "I know you do not trust humans, but I am telling the truth. Look at me." She pointed to the blood on her face, her torn wrists. "They did this because I learned their secret." A long moment passed. Then one guard turned and disappeared into the quarters. He returned with. The pack leader looked at with cold eyes. His face showed no emotion. "You come to my door, bleeding and wild, with stories of danger. Why should I believe you, little prey?" "Because I have nothing to gain by lying." Met his eyes without fear. "I heard them talking. They said the cubs are worth triple price if taken alive. They have a buyer waiting. They will strike tomorrow during a power fluctuation." "A power fluctuation that they will create." "Yes." Was silent for a long moment. Then he leaned down until his face was close to hers. "If you are lying, I will kill you myself." "If I am lying, I will let you." Another silence, then made a sound deep in his chest. "Come inside, tell me everything." The quarters smelled like pine and snow. It reminded of mountains on Earth. The adults gathered around as she explained what she had heard. The cubs were kept in a back room, sleeping. When she finished, they were growling low in their throats. The sound made skin crawl. These were predators and they were angry. "We will kill them all," one of the males snarled. "Tonight, now." "No," his voice cut through the noise. "If we attack first, we become the criminals. The humans will turn against us. Our mission will fail." "Then what do we do?" Looked at. "What do you suggest, little human?" Was surprised he was asking her. She thought quickly. "We need proof. Something that shows the station authorities what these people really are. If we can get evidence of their plan, Commander Lee will have to act." "And how do we get this proof?" "I have an idea, but it is risky." The plan was simple but dangerous. Would return to the pirates and pretend she had escaped but remembered nothing. She would say she hit her head and wandered the station confused. The pirates might believe her, or they might kill her. If they believed her, she would wear a hidden recording device. She would get them to talk about their plan. Then she would send the recording to station security. "Did not like it." "You would risk your life for our cubs. Why, you barely know us. We have treated you poorly." Thought about the question. She thought about curious eyes, Bora's bold questions, 5 small lives that depended on the adults around them. "When I was 8 years old," she said quietly, "my colony was attacked by raiders. They came for resources, but they did not care who they hurt. My parents hid me in a basement with 6 other children. I was the oldest." They were silent, listening. We stayed in that basement for 3 days. I kept the little ones quiet. I shared our food. I told them stories to stop them from crying. When the rescue teams finally came, all 7 of us were alive. Looked at, I made a promise to myself that day. I would never let children suffer if I could stop it. Any children. It does not matter what species they are. Stared at her for a long time. Something changed in his amber eyes. The coldness melted just a little. You are strange, human, very strange. I know. The next morning, put the plan into action. She found the pirates in the station's market area. She approached them with a confused look on her face, touching the wound on her head. "Excuse me," she said to the one who had attacked her. "I think I fell somewhere. Did you see what happened? I cannot remember." The pirate's eyes narrowed, then he smiled. "Yes, I saw you fall. Hit your head pretty hard. You should be more careful." "Thank you. I have been wandering for hours. Everything is so confusing." They believed her, or at least they pretended to. For the rest of the day stayed close to the pirate crew. She acted dazed and helpless. She asked stupid questions. She laughed at their jokes. And the whole time, the tiny device hidden in her ear was recording everything. By evening, she had enough. The pirates were planning to cut the station's power at midnight. They had inside help from a corrupted technician. During the blackout, they would storm the quarters with stun weapons. They expected the adults to be disoriented in the dark. They would take the cubs and escape before anyone knew what happened. Slipped away and sent the recording to Commander Lee. An hour later, she received a message on her personal device. "Lieutenant Park, come to my office, now." Commander Lee's face was when she arrived. He had listened to the recording. "I should have believed you," he said. "I am sorry." "It does not matter now. What matters is stopping them." Lee nodded. "I am mobilizing station security. We will arrest them before midnight." "No," shook her head. "If you move too early, they will know something is wrong. The one inside, the technician, will warn them. You need to catch them in the act." "That is risky. Things could go wrong." "I know," straightened her shoulders. "That is why I will be with the cubs when it happens." Lee stared at her. "You could be killed." "Then I will be killed protecting children. I can think of worse ways to die." She did not wait for his response. She turned and walked toward the quarters. Midnight was coming. The quarters were quiet when arrived. Met her at the door. His amber eyes studied her face. "You got the evidence?" "Yes, station security knows everything. They will move when the pirates attack." "Good." Paused. "You did not have to come back here. Your part is done." "My part is not done until the cubs are safe." Something flickered in his eyes. Respect maybe, or surprise. He stepped aside and let her in. The plan was set. When the power went out, the adult would pretend to be confused. They would let the pirates think their attack was working. Meanwhile, station security would be waiting to trap them. But plans never survive contact with the enemy. At 11:30, an alarm began to sound through the station. A different alarm. Fire in the cargo bay. All available personnel were needed. Felt ice in her stomach. This was not part of the pirates' plan. Something else was happening. Growled, "A distraction." They changed their timeline. They are moving early. The adult looked at each other. They had prepared to fight in their quarters, where they knew the ground. But if there was a real emergency drawing security away, they would be on their own. "I will check the corridors," one of the males said. He left with 2 others. That was when the lights went out. The darkness was complete. No emergency lights. No glow from any source. The pirates had cut everything. Heard the cubs cry out in fear. She moved toward them by memory, feeling her way along the walls. Her eyes were useless in this blackness. "Stay calm," she called out. "I am coming." Her hands found small, furry bodies. The cubs pressed against her, whimpering. She counted them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all here. Where are the adults? Bora's voice was shaking. Listened. She could hear fighting somewhere deeper in the quarters. Growls, crashes. The adults were engaged with the enemy. But something was wrong. There should be more here. Where were they? Then she understood. The fire alarm, the changed timeline. The pirates had split the pack on purpose. They had lured most of the adults away. This was not a simple raid. This was a coordinated military operation. His heart was pounding, but her mind was clear. She had been in dark places before. She had protected children before. "Listen to me," she said to the cubs. "We need to move to the back room. Stay close to me. Do not make any sound." "But the adults. The adults are fighting. We need to stay safe until they win. Can you do that?" 5 small voices answered, "Yes." They moved slowly through the darkness, kept one hand on the wall and one hand on the nearest cub. The others held onto each other, forming a chain. They reached the back room. It was a small space used for storage. One door, no windows, easy to defend. Easy to trap. Pushed the cubs inside and stood at the entrance. She had no weapon. She had no armor. She was small and soft and human. But she was all that stood between these children and the darkness. Minutes passed. The sounds of fighting grew closer, then stopped. Footsteps, many footsteps, coming toward the back room. His hands were shaking, but she did not move. A light appeared, a torch cutting through the blackness. Behind it she saw faces, human faces, hard and cruel. There were 12 of them. The man at the front was older than the others. He had a scar running down his cheek and cold eyes that had seen too much death. Recognized him from the security files she had studied. Former military officer, discharged for war crimes, now a pirate and a slaver. He smiled when he saw her. "Well, well, the little spy." He stepped closer and his men spread out behind him. "I knew you were lying about losing your memory. You are smarter than you look." "Where are the adults?" "Scattered, fighting fires that do not exist, chasing shadows. We have been planning this for months, little girl, every detail." Behind, the cubs whimpered. His eyes moved past her to the children. His smile grew wider. 5 of them healthy, young. The buyer will be very pleased. He looked back "Step aside. We are not here for you. There is no reason for you to die tonight." "Did not move." "I said step aside." "No." Smile faded. "You cannot stop us. Look at yourself. You are one small woman against 12 armed men. This is not a story where the hero wins. This is reality." "I know." His voice was steady even though her heart was screaming. "But I am not stepping aside." "Why?" Seemed genuinely curious. "These are not even your kind. They are animals, predators. They would eat you if they were hungry enough. Why would you die for them?" Thought about the question. She thought about shy eyes, about Bora's brave questions, about 5 small lives huddled behind her in the dark. "Because they are children," she said, "and children deserve protection, all children." Stared at her for a long moment, then he laughed. "Humans, you are all insane." He raised his weapon. "Last chance, move or I will shoot through you to get to them." Spread her arms wide, blocking as much of the doorway as she could. "Then shoot." His finger moved toward the trigger. That was when attacked. She did not wait for him to fire. She did not wait for help that might never come. She threw herself at with everything she had. Her small size worked in her favor. She was inside his guard before he could react. Her elbow hit his throat. Her knee found his stomach. He dropped the weapon and staggered back. The other pirates surged forward. What followed was not a fair fight. It was never going to be a fair fight. Was one woman against 12 men in the dark, but she had training. She had desperation, and she had something they did not. She had something worth dying for. She fought like a wild animal. She used the walls, the furniture, the darkness itself. When they grabbed her, she bit and clawed and kicked. When they hit her, she got back up, again and again and again. Bones cracked, blood flowed. Some of it was theirs, most of it was hers. A fist broke her nose. She kept fighting. A boot cracked her ribs. She kept fighting. A blade cut her arm to the bone. She kept fighting. Every time they knocked her down, she put herself between them and the cubs. Every time they pushed past her, she pulled them back. She was a wall of flesh and will and stubborn human refusal to quit. The cubs watched with wide eyes. They had never seen anything like this. This soft, furless creature that should have been prey was holding back predators with nothing but her body and her courage. Finally, grabbed her by the throat and slammed her against the wall. Enough! His face was bleeding from a cut she had given him. His voice was raw with fury. "You are dead. You understand. You are dead." Smiled through bloody teeth. "Maybe, but you are not taking those children." She head-butted him. His nose broke with a satisfying crunch. He dropped her, screaming. But she could not get up this time. Her legs would not work. Her vision was blurring. She had lost too much blood. Pointed his weapon at her face. His hand was shaking with rage. "Die!" A roar shook the walls. The door behind the pirates exploded inward. Came through like a force of nature, silver fur covered in blood that was not his own. The other adult were right behind him. The pirates tried to fight. They tried to run. It did not matter. Our apex predators. They evolved on a world where everything was trying to kill them. They were built for war. The battle lasted less than a minute. When it was over, stood in a room full of broken bodies. His chest was heaving. His amber eyes were wild. Then he saw. She was still in front of the doorway, still between the cubs and where the danger had been. Her body was broken and bleeding, but she was still there. She looked up at him with clouded eyes and whispered, "Are the cubs safe?" "Yes, because of you." Smiled. It was a weak smile, but it was real. "Good." Then she collapsed. The cubs rushed forward, crying, pressed his small nose against her face. "Wake up, please wake up. Fierce soft one, please wake up." But did not answer. Dreamed of darkness. She was back in the basement on her colony world, 8 years old, surrounded by crying children, the sounds of destruction above them, her mother's last words echoing in her mind. "Protect them, protect them." She had been so scared, but she had not run, she had stayed, she had protected. The dream shifted. Now she was in a field of snow, white everywhere, cold wind on her face, but she was not alone. Silver shapes moved around her, wolves but not wolves, larger, fiercer. They circled her and she was not afraid. One of them stepped forward. It had scars on its face and amber eyes that burned like fire. "You are one of us now," it said. "Pack." Woke up. The first thing she saw was white, a white ceiling, white lights, the steady beep of medical machines. She was in the station's hospital. She tried to move and gasped. Pain exploded through her body. Broken ribs, broken arm, cuts and bruises everywhere. "Do not move." A familiar face appeared above her, Dr. Han, her friend. Eyes were red from crying. "You have been asleep for 4 days. You almost died twice." The cubs' voice was rough and weak. "Are they safe, all 5 of them, because of you?" Closed her eyes. Relief washed through her like warm water. "The pirates'" face darkened. "Most of them are dead. They were not gentle. The ones who survived are in custody. They will face trial for attempted kidnapping and several other crimes." "And killed him personally. I heard it was not quick." Should have felt something about that. Horror, maybe, or satisfaction. But she was too tired to feel anything except relief that it was over. "There is something else," said, "something strange." "What?" They will not leave." Opened her eyes. "What do you mean?" "They were supposed to depart 2 days ago. Their ship is ready. The route through human space has been approved, but they refuse to go." Looked confused. "They have been standing guard outside this room in shifts, day and night. They say they will not leave until you wake up. Did not know what to say. That afternoon came to see her. The pack leader looked different than she remembered, smaller somehow, or maybe she was just seeing him differently now. He walked into the room alone, without guards, without weapons, a gesture of trust. He stood beside her bed and looked down at her. His amber eyes were soft in a way she had never seen before. "You are awake. So they tell me. You almost died. So they tell me." Made a sound that might have been a laugh. "You are still making jokes, even now. If I stop making jokes, that is when you should worry." The pack leader was quiet for a moment. Then he did something that shocked completely. He knelt beside her bed. This massive predator, this warrior who had killed dozens in battle, knelt before a small human woman. "I owe you a debt," he said. "My pack owes you a debt. Our entire species owes you a debt. You do not have to." "Yes, I do." His voice was firm. "You need to understand what you did. Those 5 cubs are more precious than you can imagine. They represent hope for our people. Without them, we face extinction. You saved our future, Park. You almost died saving our future." Felt tears forming in her eyes. "I just did what anyone would do." "No," shook his head. "That is what prey tells itself. We have traveled to many worlds. We have met many species. When danger comes, they run, they hide, they save themselves." He met her eyes. "You stood, you fought. You would not move even when you were dying. I have seen warriors who could not do what you did." He reached out and gently touched her unbroken hand. "In our language, we have a word. It means one who stands between the pack and death, the ultimate protector. We thought only could be." His amber eyes burned. "We were wrong." Could not speak. Tears were rolling down her cheeks. "We have decided something," continued. "The pack has voted. It was unanimous." "Decided what?" "You will see, when you are strong enough. For now, rest, heal. The cubs are asking for you every hour. They call you. In our tongue, it means fierce small mother." Laughed, and it hurt her ribs. "I am not their mother. No, you are something more. You are the one who was willing to die for them." Stood. "Rest now. I will send the cubs to visit when the doctor allows it." He walked to the door, then stopped. "Park." "Yes." "I called you prey when we first met. I was wrong. You are the farthest thing from prey I have ever seen." Then he was gone. The next few days were strange. News of what had done spread through the station, then through the communication networks, then through the entire region of space. She became famous without wanting to be. Commander Lee came to apologize. He had not believed her warnings. He had dismissed her concerns. If she had not acted on her own, the cubs would have been taken. "I do not blame you," told him. "You made a mistake. We all make mistakes. Mine almost cost 5 children their lives. But it did not. That is what matters." Lee nodded slowly. "You are wiser than me, Lieutenant. I am recommending you for promotion, and for the Distinguished Service Medal." "I do not need medals." "Maybe not, but you deserve them." Diplomats came. Journalists came. Important people from Earth and other human worlds came. They all wanted to meet the woman who had fought 12 pirates alone to save alien children. Hated the attention. She had not done what she did for fame. She had done it because it was right. The only visitors she actually enjoyed were the cubs. They came in a small furry flood, piling onto her bed, careful of her injuries. Bora told her about the fighting she had heard, curled up against her side and would not move. The others asked questions without stopping. "Were you scared?" "Yes," admitted. "I was very scared." "But you did not run." "No, I did not run." "Why?" Looked at their small faces, their bright amber eyes, their soft silver fur. "Because you needed me," she said simply, "and I could not let you down." Pressed his nose against her cheek. "We will never forget, never ever. We will tell our cubs about you, and they will tell their cubs." That is a very long time. Live for a very long time, and we have very good memories. Smiled and held them close. Her body was broken, but her heart was full. On the seventh day came with news. The delegation wants to hold a ceremony. They say it is important, sacred. They want you to attend. I can barely walk. They said they will carry you if they have to. Laughed, of course they did. Sat on the edge of the bed. What happened in that room when you fought those pirates? I have read the reports, but I do not understand. How did you survive? Thought about the question. She remembered the darkness, the fear, the pain, the absolute certainty that she was going to die. I do not know, she said honestly. I just knew I could not let them take the cubs. Everything else did not matter. My body, my life, none of it mattered. Only keeping them safe. That sounds insane. Maybe it is, smiled, but it worked. Shook her head. You are the bravest person I know, and also the craziest. Those two things might be the same thing. I think you might be right. The ceremony was scheduled for the next day. Did not know what to expect, but she knew her life was about to change again. She could feel it in her bones. The main plaza of Harmony's Edge was full. Had never seen so many beings gathered in one place. Humans and dozens of other species stood shoulder to shoulder, filling every space. They had come from all over the station. Some had come from other ships. Word had spread fast. Stood at the center of the plaza, supported by a walking frame. Her injuries were healing, but she was still weak. Every step hurt, but she refused to sit in a wheelchair for this. She would stand on her own feet, no matter what. The pack stood before her, all of them, adults and cubs together. Their silver fur gleamed under the station lights. Their amber eyes watched her with something she had never seen before. Respect, true respect. Stepped forward. He was wearing ceremonial armor, ancient designs carved into dark metal. A cloak of white fur hung from his shoulders. He looked like a king from an old story. Today we honor a warrior, he said, his deep voice carrying across the plaza. Not a warrior, a human warrior, one who proved that courage has nothing to do with size or strength or claws. He turned to face the crowd. For generations, we believed humans were prey, soft creatures who survived by hiding. We thought they had no fire in their blood, no steel in their hearts. His voice grew stronger. We were wrong. He gestured toward. This small female stood alone against 12 enemies. She had no weapons, no armor, no hope of victory, but she would not move. She would not run. She placed her body between our cubs and death, and she refused to fall. The crowd was silent. Every eye was on. We have fought wars across 100 worlds, continued. We have seen bravery and cowardice in every form. What Lieutenant Park did that night was the courage I have ever witnessed. She did not fight for glory. She did not fight for reward. She fought because children were in danger and she could not let them be harmed. He turned back to, there is an honor given only to the greatest warriors. It has never been given to an outsider in all our history. Today, that changes. A female stepped forward. She carried a small box made of dark wood, opened it and removed something that gleamed in the light. It was a claw silver and sharp, attached to a chain of black metal. This is the claw of, explained. It belonged to the founder of our warrior tradition 3,000 years ago. To receive it is to be marked as a protector of the highest order. He held the claw toward. Lieutenant Park, will you accept this honor? His throat was tight. She could barely speak. I am not worthy. I only did what anyone would do. You keep saying that. His voice was gentle. And you keep being wrong. Accept the claw. Accept what you are. Reached out with her unbroken hand and took the claw. It was cold and heavy in her palm, ancient, sacred. There is one more thing, said. The mark of is not only given, it is made. He held up his own hand, his claws extended, gleaming and sharp. A scar placed over the heart, so all who see will know where your courage lives. It will hurt. Do you accept? Looked at those claws. They could tear through metal. They could kill with a single swipe. She thought about the cubs, about Shy's smile, about Bora's brave questions, about 5 small lives that she had been willing to die for. I accept. Nodded, he stepped close to her. His massive form blocked out the light. This will be quick. Try not to scream. His claw moved. Pain, bright and sharp and deep, bit down on her lips so hard she tasted blood. But she did not scream. She did not flinch. She stood there while carved his mark into the skin above her heart. When it was done, blood ran down her chest, but she was smiling. Step back. His amber eyes were bright. It is done. You are Pac. A sound rose from the crowd. They were growling low and deep. It was not a threatening sound. It was something else, something primal. Approval, acceptance, welcome. Turned to face the assembled beings. Humans and others all watching her. She did not know what to say. She did not know what to do. Then the cubs rushed forward. They surrounded her, pressing against her legs, their small voices raised in joy. Pac sister, you are Pac. Climbed up her walking frame and pressed his nose to her face. You are one of us now, he whispered, forever. Hugged him tight, tears streaming down her face. Forever, she whispered back. When she looked up again, she saw something that would stay with her for the rest of her life. Every in the plaza had raised their fist to their chest, the traditional salute of the warrior clans, a sign of respect given only to those who had proven themselves beyond all doubt. They were saluting her. Looked at, his fist was at his chest too, pressed over his heart. They are doing that on their own, she said. You did not tell them to. No, I did not. His voice was thick with emotion. The body knows what the mind cannot speak. You have earned something that cannot be commanded, only given freely. The salute held. Seconds passed. Nobody moved. Finally, raised her own fist to her chest. She returned the salute as best she could. The roared. It was a sound of victory, of celebration, of welcome. And under that roar, quiet enough that only she could hear, whispered in her ear. Thank you, Pac sister. Thank you for staying. The days that followed were a blur of meetings and messages and preparations for departure. The mission had to continue. The cubs needed to reach the medical facility. A cure for the genetic plague was still out there, waiting to be found. On the day the ship finally left, stood at the observation window and watched it power up. She wore the claw around her neck. The scar on her chest was still healing, raised and pink against her skin. It would fade to white in time, but it would never disappear. She did not want it to disappear. The cubs had said goodbye that morning. There were tears and promises and nose bumps against her face, had cried the hardest. Bora had tried to be brave but failed. We will come back, they promised. We will visit. We will bring our own cubs someday and tell them about the fierce, soft one who saved us. I will be waiting, told them, always. Now she watched their ship turn toward the stars. Her personal communicator beeped, a message from. She opened it. Park, sister of my pack, of the highest order. We will tell our cubs of the small human who taught that size is not strength, and that the fiercest heart can live in the gentlest form. You showed us that courage is not about claws or fangs. It is about standing when others run. It is about choosing to protect, even when protection costs everything. The path to the medical station will take us through many systems, but no matter how far we go, you will remain Pac. Your name will be spoken with honor around fires for generations. If you ever need us, send word, we will come. No matter the distance, no matter the danger, Pac protects Pac. Until we hunt together again, Pac sister. Read the message 3 times. Then she pressed her hand against the window and watched the ship jump to hyperspace. The stars blinked, the ship was gone. But she did not feel alone. She touched the scar on her chest, the mark of the proof that she had stood when it mattered. Behind her, the station hummed with life. Thousands of beings going about their days, unaware of how close they had come to tragedy, unaware of the small human woman who had changed relations between two species with nothing but her stubborn refusal to step aside. Smiled. She had learned something in that dark room, fighting impossible odds, something important. You do not need to be big to be brave. You do not need to be strong to protect. You just need to be willing to stand, willing to stay, willing to put yourself between innocence and harm no matter the cost. That was what it meant to be human. That was what it meant to be Pac. Park turned from the window and walked back into the light. She had work to do.